Hello and welcome back to KXAN Plus. I am your host, Esmeralda Zamora, and today we have our Rich First Warning Weather segment, or Q&A, with our KXAN meteorologist Rich Segal. Rich, how are you doing?
It's a good day today.
It is a great Monday.
Yes, it is.
How was your morning today?
Busy. I got to do traffic today. Erica had the morning off, and so I had to do 4 hours of traffic. And that went reasonably well. The normal number of accidents and stalls and backups.
Back to school traffic, of course.
Yes, of course.
Well, that means you were up pretty early this morning if you did traffic.
I was up at 3.
Well, I was up at around 5. So you got me by 2 or 3 hours, and I'm super, super tired already. It's 1:30 p.m., and we're kicking through the day. Right, Rich?
Indeed.
Well, today we have a few questions that our viewers have prepared for you. And let's kick it off with our first question. Our first question is, what is a post-tropical cyclone?
We had a couple of viewers write in to ask us what that is. It isn't something that it doesn't mean that the storm is done. It means that it's lost a lot of its tropical characteristics. The center is a little more ragged, so are the outer bands of the storm. It is a former tropical cyclone, like we have right now with the system that is in the Atlantic named Fernand. There's no organized shower and thunderstorm convection like you see with a closed and tight-in tropical weather system. It does, however, continue to produce heavy bands of rain and thunderstorms. It is very dangerous, but when we see a post-tropical cyclone, it goes from a tropical cyclone. Sometimes it won't even go back to a tropical depression. It will just go post-tropical because it's lost a lot of its characteristics. But we usually see this over the colder waters of the Atlantic or the Pacific when a storm is really, it's not too much longer after a post-tropical cyclone is developed, where we see the storm kind of come to an end like we did with Erin. So again, it's usually not going to affect landmass. It's like I said, it's more likely moving over the colder waters of the oceans.
And does it affect anyone or anything when a post-tropical cyclone occurs?
Normally it does not.
So it's just pretty much what happens after we have that tropical cyclone move through?
It's when we see post-tropical, may last a day or two, and then slowly but surely, as these weather systems move over the colder waters of both oceans, they are no longer feeding on themselves because it takes the warm water for these cyclones to develop and to enhance in strength. But when we see a post-tropical, it usually for us is this indication that we're not going to see any more threat to any land mass, although they can still be dangerous. They're usually well away from any landmass.
Is there anything that may happen before a tropical cyclone happens, or is it mainly what occurs at the end of one?
Well, for post-tropical, it's at the end. When it's in its tropical cyclone stage like we see now, it sometimes will develop into a hurricane, sometimes it won't, like we're seeing with Fernand. It is not going to develop into a hurricane. It's over cooler waters, not necessarily colder, but no threat to land at all. And these post-tropical cyclones, like I said, are no threat to any landmass that we can see. Most of the time, they're just moving, and they accelerate in speed as they move rapidly over the colder waters of the ocean.
Interesting. And our second viewer question is, when does hurricane season peak? Because we know it's not over, right?
No, it's not over by a long shot. Usually we are in the uptick, and I'll show you a graphic on that in a moment. It happens, the actual dead center, the peak of the hurricane season starts or happens on September 10th. A couple of things. The temperatures in the oceans are still greater than 80 degrees. And right now, we're finding in the warmer waters of the Atlantic and the warmer waters of the Pacific, these water temperatures are in the mid and in some cases a few upper 80s. So there's still time for these storms to feed. There is low wind shear, which is the change of wind speed and wind direction going up in height. So low wind shear, when there's very little of it, when there's very little change in the direction of the wind or the strength of the wind, it will indicate that the storms will get stronger. And again, those waters, by the way, in the Atlantic and the Pacific, they do continue to warm, even though for the most part in September, we're dealing with the end of the meteorological summer season. Fourth on the list, potential average of 4 to 5 and 2 to 3 being Cat 3, which is a major hurricane. So we see a lot of that in September as well. And so here's the timeline of it. Oh gosh, that graphic
This
isn't going to show
hurricane
up.
season, we've only had one official hurricane, right?
So far, her
So
name
far.
is Erin. I had the graphic and I don't know where it went. So we'll just have to stick with this because I had a one that showed the peak of the hurricane season. But it shows that, again, September 10th. So we'll step stair up through September 10th and then slowly start to ease our way down to October, where we don't get too much activity. When we do, it's because the season just lasts a little bit longer and the waters remain warm to hot. And so the peak of the hurricane season is September 10th.
And where on your little graphic there, it says low wind shear equals strong storms. When you read low wind shear, kind of reminds me of like the calm before the storm, how it's really calm and then you get that hurricane in.
The eye of the hurricane is where the calmest of the winds are. You get a landfall, then things get eerily quiet, and then here comes the latter portion of the storm. And so the wind shear itself, when we talk about low wind shear, it means that there is very little change in the strength of the wind and the direction of the wind. There's not as much turning. So this is why when this doesn't happen, that the storms will get a little stronger.
Yeah. And our third question, I don't know if your graphic is working, but I have the question, was Katrina...
Wait, this is the graphic I
Oh,
wanted
there
to
it
show.
is.
There it is. So you'll watch this and you'll see in September, we have the line that indicates where we are today. Right now, we don't have much going on in the oceans. We have a tropical storm in the Atlantic and a tropical storm in the Pacific. But you notice that we get past September 1st and we see that lighter shade of red tick up to September 10th. We see the second shade of red. These are the hurricanes, and that darker shade of red towards the very bottom. Those are the ones that are major hurricanes. I didn't realize that I had turned this graphic on, so I'm glad I was able to show you this tropical climatology.
Yeah, there we can see it. And it looks like even in November, you're still having a little bit of a spike.
A few years ago, we had a little bit of activity past the end of the season. We had a little bit of activity in November a few years ago, and then by December 1st, things have usually died down.
Do you think that we will see something similar this year, or are we wrapping it up pretty quickly?
Hard to say.
Hard to say.
Hard to say.
Well, here's that next question that I had just pulled up. It was question number 3. Was Katrina the deadliest hurricane of all time?
And the answer is it's the third deadliest. The Galveston hurricane of 1900 took the lives of 8,000 to 12,000 people. Statistics have been showing that for years. In Florida in 1928, the Okeechobee hurricane, that's around Lake Okeechobee, took the lives of 25 to 3,000. Now, this is where we get into a bit of confusion. Katrina hit in 2005. It made 2 landfalls, by the way, in the United States. It made one in Florida, and then it made one in Louisiana, Mississippi. The number of fatalities has varied from just under 1,400 to a little more than 1,800. And I'm not really sure. I read this, and I looked at it, and I looked at it again, and I thought, how can this be possible? States use different counting modes to determine how many people have passed away. Then I thought it may just be, the bottom line says that some of the missing were never found.
Yeah.
So the assumption was, are they dead? Are they alive? The sentence that got to me was, well, sometimes if the person has been reported missing but is found, then the people who found him or the family of the person who is missing maybe sometimes doesn't report that. They're just glad to have the person back and safe and sound. So there's a great disparity between the number of people whose lives were lost from Hurricane Katrina in 2005.
And there were 2 different states, so that also makes it a
Well,
little more difficult.
there were more than that. There were the loss of lives in Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi, and then you go up the line and you may have had some fatalities in Alabama, perhaps in Tennessee, but we know that the majority of them happened in Louisiana and Mississippi.
Yeah. And then we have one more question.
And this is not a tropical weather question.
Do you have interns and what do they do?
Okay. I love this question. As a matter of fact, I love it because today our fall intern season started. We had two wonderful interns, Elizabeth and Georgia, during the summer. First of all, the requirement for being an intern here, whether it's weather, news, sports, the political spectrum, you must be getting college credit for TEPID. We absolutely love our interns, and we don't just let them sit and do nothing. We put them to work. We put them to work by making them learn how to forecast, looking at the different models, seeing patterns, weather patterns. They have written blogs. I love that. That makes my job easier. They build graphics. But the thing that they love doing the most is practicing on the green screen. Now, some of the people that intern here in our office, they do want to be on the wall. They want to be doing on-air work, but some don't. Some want to branch off into a different area of meteorology, like studying radar or satellite or the oceans. They want to be climatologists to learn more about the climate and how it's reacting. So, if you are thinking about it, applications are being accepted for the 2026 spring season. KXAN.com/internships. And Christopher Adams, our wonderful internship head, will be very happy to consider you for a fall internship or a spring internship here in 2026.
Yeah, and if you are a frequent KXAN Plus viewer, we do have a lot of weather shows, and some of our interns have actually been in the room while we are doing those weather shows.
I think Georgia got an opportunity to be in here one time. Yes, she did really well.
Yeah, and I think we even asked her a question while we were live, and she answered it.
She's very savvy, and so is Elizabeth. We were very fortunate with the weather interns that we had. Apparently, we didn't have any apply for this fall semester, but we're expecting hopefully some for the spring semester because as we have always said, we love our interns, but we do make them work.
Yeah, for some of our viewers or people out there who think that interns just come in and grab coffee for people, what would you say to them about that?
Nope.
Doesn't happen.
No, I would no more ask someone to go grab a cup of coffee for me. That's a sheer sign of laziness. Now I'll let them write the blog and then I'll check it. But we want them to get accustomed to what they would be facing if this were for them a real situation for them, and it is in a way. But we want them to know this is what we go through. We take them through our shift from start to finish,
Yep.
and say, okay,
every meeting that you go to,
they have been to the editorial meetings, and so they learn. They just don't learn what we do in the weather office from, again, writing things, forecasting for the day, forecasting for the week. What graphics go with what graphics go where, and how you can stack your show. They learn a great deal so that when they're done, I think Elizabeth had to write an article for her professor on what she did and what she learned, and it was supposed to be one page, and she said she couldn't stop at one. So we were happy that they had a good time here, and we hope to hear good things from them as they go forward in their careers.
Yes, they have a lot of things to learn here and so much opportunity for hands-on experience as well. And it's not just weather interns. We have all kinds of interns as well.
News, politics, sports. Advertising, marketing, engineering,
creative
services.
Yeah, everything. Well, Rich, we did answer 4 questions today, but if anyone has a question they want to send your way, how do they do that?
Report it, REPORTIT at KXAN.com. And we take 4 questions every week because that's about all the time that we have for that. But we try to answer as many questions as possible. Look, anything is fair game. If
no matter the question.
Yeah, I mean, if we had a few weeks ago, someone wanted to know, why do you always get the forecast wrong? And of course, we hope that viewer understood what the processes are and how weather systems change after you've gone with your forecast, and then you have to wait until the next show to make that change.
Yeah, and I know lots of viewers out there have some questions that they've had at the back of their head that they are wanting to ask. This is the opportunity to present that question.
Exactly.
Yeah. Rich, before we go, do you want to leave us with any last remarks?
There is a holiday weekend coming upon us. It's
Yep.
the final holiday weekend of the summer season. And right now, it looks like at times we will have rain and storms to deal with, not only Friday, but Saturday and Sunday. The rain chances right now are being listed widely scattered at 40% both days, but we could be seeing some of these storms produce some lightning and some gusty winds as the storms that we have seen in the recent past have performed like that. So that's what we're looking at right now. Chief Meteorologist Nick Bannon will have an update on the immediate short-term forecast at 4 o'clock.
At 4 o'clock today. One thing I do want to remind everyone about is, yes, this holiday is on a Monday, but I'm sure many people are going to be celebrating all weekend long. So it's important to keep that KXAN weather app downloaded on your phone for any of those updates regarding weather, lightning, all that stuff.
And set on the bottom right portion of the weather app, in the very bottom right, you see three potential options. You see past and future,
Yep.
and you see future. Set it on past. That will show you the rain that is falling at the time. If you set it to future, it is a computer automated potential of what could happen. So set it on past. And we'll repeat that a few times, I'm sure.
That is very good to know. So I'm going to start doing that when I check the weather on that app. Well, thank you so much,
You're
Rich.
welcome.
And we will see you next week.
Absolutely.